Been a pretty great year here at the Scale Builders Guild, mostly because of all the hats. Welcome back to the Scale Builders Guild. Thanks again for watching. It's another look back at 2023 and the best builds from the Scale Builders Guild forums. If you're not familiar with the forums, I highly recommend you go check them out. There will obviously be links down below where you can check out all of the top builds of this year, and in fact, all of the builds of all time ever. Because as you know, a forum is forever. And unlike Facebook, you'll actually be able to go back and view a history of how a build came to be. That's the magic of a forum, and the community that we've built at the Scale Builders Guild is unparalleled. There are so many great builders there and so many great builds. All kinds of inspiration for whatever type of scale build you might be doing, whether it be a 6x6 or tank tracks or carbon fiber. There are so many different builds and so many different types of builds and builders that make up such an amazing community. It's something that definitely needs to be checked out, and I invite you to go check it out. It's free to participate. It's free to look at. What more could you possibly ask for? And without further ado, it's time to get into those top builds of 2023 selected by myself. There's just so many amazing things that have come out of the forums this year, and to be fair, they're builds that I haven't seen anywhere else, and these are really top quality builds. So let's get right into them with the first one. All right, Fab 110 Scorcher. And you're saying to yourself, wow, that's just a sand scorcher. Well, no, you'd be totally wrong. It's not anywhere close to that. It might look like one, but Fab 110, he got a special honorable mention last year because his build wasn't quite finished. This is the finished product, a completely hand-built. I don't even know how to describe most of the metalwork here, but it's all done by hand, and it's all of a very, very high quality. You can see he's putting his own rivets in, he's bending all of this metal, he's shaping things to make shapes I didn't know you could make at this scale with metal. This is absolutely just knocked out of the park build, and it really does put every other sand scorcher to shame. Look at these seats. He made these from scratch, the dashboard from scratch. He is absolutely a fabulous metal worker. Obviously, he's got a lot of experience in fabricating, and you can see all of the work that he's put into this on things that most people won't even see. But that cage, you will definitely see that. That is outrageous. Even this shovel, handmade. Most of us just buy these accessories. Fab 110 said, no, I'm going to build everything. I'm going to use all of my skills, all of my knowledge of all of my crafts, and put together one of the best looking sand scorchers I've ever seen. It's absolutely spectacular and well deserving of a spot here in the top builds of 2023 from the Scale Builders Guild forums. And great paint to match. No slouch there either, so really excellent job. I think this is definitely one of the best builds, not just of 2023, but ever. And now we move on to Indigo's Volvo C202, and you're probably thinking, oh, a Volvo, obviously there's going to be a Volvo on the list because I love Volvos so much. Well, I do indeed love Volvos, but this one is special for a couple of different reasons. Indigo spent a lot of time and effort to really make this a scale-accurate truck, and he used some inspiration, I think, probably from Headquake back in the day, and you'll see why in a second. He started by creating his own frame and chassis out of some aluminum stock, and of course put everything in the right places and started wiring it up and used proper looking axles for a C202. But then he started to build the body out of wood. Again, just so incredible to see this level of ingenuity and this level of craftsmanship going into a build. And this is no small feat. I have tried a wooden build many, many years ago. Not something I'm going to give another try because I just don't have it in me. I can't sand wood that smooth. I'm not good with wood. But Indigo is very good with wood. As you can see, the whole thing is constructed out of, I believe, plywood. I don't recall exactly. You'll have to go check the forum to see how it was built. But as you can see, it just looks absolutely spectacular. If you've ever seen a C202 in person, this is a really good, accurate representation of one. Now, this is where it gets very interesting, because now there's a lot of wiring here, because Indigo decided to build his own controller. Just amazing. I love seeing this kind of creativity, and it didn't just stop at an exterior build. He did the whole interior as well, and it's just so great to see this. This is not something I've seen anywhere else, and I'm going to say that probably a few times, but the amount of time and effort that goes into building this, but then also putting it on the forum and sharing it with everybody else, that's what really impresses me. I don't have time for anything anymore. So being able to see all of this creativity and seeing it in a threaded format so you can see how a build comes together is fantastic. And Indigo really knocked it out of the park. I love this truck so much. I've built a couple of C303s in my day, never a 202, so it's really cool to see an earlier model Volvo box. And while it is a pretty boxy shape, there are some pretty technical curves and angles in there that are pretty complicated. So it's really cool to see that. Thank you so much, Indigo, for sharing this build with us. And we'll leave you with one more little outdoor booty shot. And now another Volvo. No, I'm kidding. It's a Land Rover, and this is from Qfrcy. And I've included this one because it's some really great out-of-the-box thinking, and taking an existing kit like the BRX02 long wheelbase Series 2 Land Rover and making it into your own vehicle. And it shows that with a little bit of creativity and a little bit of know-how, you can build something really spectacular. And that's exactly what happened here. Qfrcy, or Quinton as he's better known, completely transformed the look of this truck by making it into a tow truck or a recovery vehicle. And he spared no expense on the details, as you can see. Leather seats, inner fenders of his own design, which I am also using on my Land Rover Series 2. Some excellent weathering techniques. His use of Fusion 360 to create all of that tow hook and boom assembly. And all the little bits and pieces of details and weathering that just really makes this truck sing. It just looks awesome. I love it. I really do. And I was heavily inspired by this vehicle when I started to do the weathering job on mine. Quinton did participate in some pretty big events over the summer and got some big awards for this truck, because obviously it's very well deserving, and I just think it looks spectacular, and I'm really honored to have it shared with us on the Scale Builders Guild forums. So thank you, Quinton, for sharing this one with me and with everybody on the forum, and now everybody on YouTube. It's a great truck. And it looks like a good Jeep recovery vehicle too. And finally, RSRC's Comanche. Now, this looks fairly pedestrian when you first look at it, but it's the sum of the parts that really make this build incredible. RSRC started with an SSD Trail King and a 3D printed back half Comanche, and started doing some very interesting metal fabrication work to create his own underpinnings to mount the body. He also added some lathe work to remake the motor air cleaner here, or air filter, mostly because it sat too high in the chassis for him. He also added a lot of his own fabrication to the motor itself, and did an old school trick here with some old bendy straws to create what he wanted to do for his cage work. And then, of course, started working on that in metal. You can see there's a lot of really good fabrication work. It's so clean, too. I love seeing these photos because this is not what my studio or my workshop looks like ever. Not ever is it so clean and pristine, and never do the brazing welds ever come out this good. It's so clean, and you can tell that there's a lot of meticulous work going in. Look at the coping. That coping is really difficult to do so well and so precisely. So big kudos to RSRC for doing such an incredible job on this back half of this cage. Taking it one step further, he added some of his own metal panels to this cage work to really kind of complete the look that he was going for. I'm blown away by the quality of the work here. Like, I don't even know how to describe it. It just looks so great. Machined his own battery box out of a solid block of aluminum. This is the other thing. I don't have tools like this. I don't have the space for these sorts of things. So I'm always really impressed when I see this type of work being done. If it sounds like I'm a little more silent about this build, it's because I'm just so awestruck. I don't have the words to describe the level of detail and ingenuity and hard work that goes into something like this. This is way beyond anything I've ever done. And I've done some pretty far out stuff, but never to this level. Also, no slouch at styrene, as you can see, his own dashboard and all of his own inner floor and transmission tunnel and all of the great work being done to make the Trail King motor look much more realistic. All of the fittings, this is all very tiny stuff. Like, I'm not even sure where he's getting these things and if he's fabricating them himself. Really spot on detail work. It's just fantastic. I can't say enough good things about it. Even the seat, this is a styrene seat that's got really nice contours in it. I'm like blown away by the finished product here too. It just really looks amazing. And he's done a really nice job of taking something that most people have already seen. We've seen a lot of Comanches before, but he's made it his own. And by adding some really insanely good details, it just takes this whole build right over the top and puts it in contention for one of the best builds of the year on the Scale Builders Guild forums. There are tons of builds like this, and there's years and years worth of stuff that you can go back and see and experience for yourself and just really get a sense of what might be your next inspiration for your next build. And in fact, this is a special mention for RSRC's next build. This is a good look at it right here. All of the metalwork, including the frame, is all his own. Absolutely outrageous. The axles, the housings, the trusses, all of the links, the shock towers, the motor, everything here is his own product. It's just incredible to see, and I am absolutely amazed and so thankful that he's sharing these with us on the Scale Builders Guild. Thank you so much for that, and thank you for sharing your stuff, because it's really spectacular. As if by some sort of New Year's Eve miracle, pardon my Noob's FJ60 just got completed, and I'm really happy to share this build with you. As you all know, Noob does incredible work, and he does it very quickly and very efficiently. And this is no different. A 3D printed Toyota FJ60. He bought the file on Cults 3D, which is an excellent resource, I might add. In his words, not exactly the most accurate one, but still a very good one, in my opinion. Having built one of these from scratch, I know the difficulties for sure. He used some pretty cool techniques. He used a 3D printing pen to fill some of the gaps and make this body even more rigid. Painted with automotive paint, as you can see. The skill here for me is that he spends so much time in the prep, and everything is always so meticulous and so well crafted. He's got a really excellent eye for details and lots of nice 3D printed elements to help kind of make this truck come to life on a VS410 no less, which is pretty spectacular. He even managed to get a little bit of wheel tuck on there. Oh, he spelled Toyota wrong. Oh, darn. Top tip here that he was sharing: if you put a little dab of CA on the end of your antenna, it makes it look like a little tiny, button top, which is great. And he did another very nice job on a plasti dipped antenna there. 3D printed sliders too. It's pretty amazing what 3D printing has done for our hobby, and it's a really great tool to use. Using one of my license plates, very nice. As you can see, he's also a master of doing these in multiple scales. It's the same file, just shrank. That's pretty cool, and that's what 3D printing really does bring to this hobby, is repeatability. This truck just looks amazing outdoors, and it's probably one of the reasons why I picked it as the thumbnail for this video. Richard always does such a great job, and I'm so honored that he participates on the Scale Builders Guild forums and shares all of his great builds with you and with me. And finally, a special mention to Bicycle's Pathfinder, which isn't done yet, but I did want to share it with you. I'm really hoping he gets it done this year so I can share it with you in its final phase of being completed next year for the best builds of 2024, because of course we're going to keep this series going because it is so much fun. I love sharing these with you. Some really great scratch building styrene work, which really inspires me to get back into styrene and not just 3D printing. I loved working with styrene, and I love building my own bodies or modifying bodies, and I cannot wait to get back into the workshop and do this myself. Maybe not a Pathfinder, not really my bag, baby, but Bicycle's absolutely knocking this one out of the park. Look at the detail work on that interior, all scratch built, all by hand, no computers used. It's so great. It takes me back to the early days, and really makes me kind of nostalgic for getting my hands dirty and building things with styrene. It's a great process, and he's no slouch with craft foam either, as you can see by these seats. This is going to be a really great build. I can't wait to see this one complete, and I invite you to go check out this and all the other builds that I've featured on the forums. I will make sure to post links down below so you can check all of them out in all of their glory. This is really just sort of a smattering of a few photos, so there's a lot more to go see. I'm sure that you weren't disappointed by any of these builds. They're fantastic. The level of detail, the quality of the work, the workmanship that goes into these sorts of builds, way beyond the stuff that I'm doing. And it's so inspiring and so gratifying to see people participate in the forums and keep that forum alive. Forums are dying. There's no two ways about it. They're expensive to maintain. There's a lot of resources, and generally, people don't like communicating very much, but for some reason, the SBG soldiers on, and we'll continue going as far into the future as we can. And with that, I'd like to thank everyone for watching all of the videos this year and participating in the comments and just generally being incredible viewers and making this channel what it is today. If it wasn't for the forum, this channel wouldn't exist. It wouldn't be here. And be sure to sign up and participate and continue growing the most amazing forum for scale builds on the internet. Thank you so much for watching. Happy New Year and happy holidays. We'll see you again in 2024.